The day-to-day operations at Friendship Circle are so much more than what meets the eye. There's what we all know, and surprisingly, so much that we might not. I had the honor of sitting with Berel and Chani Majesky, co-directors of Friendship Circle of Brooklyn for 13 years. Are we, as a community, doing enough? What measures must a community put in place to ensure that nobody falls through the cracks? If there was one thing, collectively, that every one of us can take upon ourselves to help turn a neighborhood into a community, what might that look like?
Thank you all for tuning in. Hello. I have the distinct pleasure of sitting here with the amazing Berel and Chani Majesky of Friendship Circle of Brooklyn. First off, thank you guys so much for making the time. It's really an honor.
Thanks for having us.
Okay. Without going, we're not looking for a Cinderella story, but tell us how Berel and Chani Majesky and Friendship Circle came to be.
We have a Cinderella story. No.
You have a Cinderella story.
So, like many young couples, after we got married, we felt that we wanted to go on shlichus. Chani being from Australia, our natural, I spent time there, so our natural path was to go on shlichus in Australia. For many reasons, it didn't work out. And we started looking around the United States, literally around the world. And for one reason or another, things didn't pan out as we were planning. And
Was there discouragement along that route?
no. Everyone around us was going through, I think, the similar journeys.
Right.
You date your wife and then you date shluchim. It was just part of the process.
And you, throughout this whole process of figuring out what you were going to do, if something wasn't meant to be, you had the notion of it just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
And we'll find some, and we'll move on to the next
Just
one.
about finding the right place.
Right.
The right shluchos for our.
Okay, so Friendship Circle.
So, I wish there was a nice romantic story involved.
Right.
But it's just, so I was at one point took on a part-time job at the Jewish Children's Museum. And then when the job that I had taken on had finished, the Chai Lekas, who was director of Friendship Circle before us, had recently stepped down from her position, and the museum offered us the organization.
Right.
For many years, the Tzivos Hashem, Rabbi Amundsen, Rabbi Baumgarten, they funded a big portion of the Friendship Circle, and times were tough, and they weren't able to at that point. So they offered us the Mossad. So
What year was this?
We're entering our
Summer-
13th year.
You're
Summer-
entering year 13.
Yeah.
So we're talking. So it was 2011, 2012.
summer 2012, I think. Yeah. So we took it on, and we said we'll do it for a year, really because I needed at that point I needed a job,
Right.
and I knew the museum, I knew Tzivos Hashem, I knew
It was somewhat familiar.
Yeah, it was somewhat familiar. We had no idea what Friendship Circle was.
What special needs children were.
Yeah, I mean, it was a complete foreign world to us. We did some basic research, spoke to a few families, but
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I imagine the first ingredient, the first characteristic that is needed is just love in your heart, right?
that we have.
Right. You have a
But I don't know if we knew that then.
right. Okay.
A lot of people that we meet in the special needs world have a very personal connection to a special needs person. We didn't have that.
Interesting.
It was very foreign to both of us.
Right. Also, I think at that point, our limited knowledge of what Friendship Circle was, we thought it was just being a program coordinator.
Right.
And fundraising. And even within that, we had, there was, we can create events, and, we had a background in science programming, science youth engagement. So, we can figure this out.
And as our listeners will soon find out, you were dead wrong.
Very
wrong.
much.
Very much so.
But that's so we took it on for a year, and 13 years later.
Even during that first year, though, we still looked into other shluchos opportunities.
You were kind of halving it.
Not halving. We didn't think this was going to be long term.
Right.
I didn't want to live in Crown Heights. Friendship Circle was not a shluchos we ever dreamed of doing. So.
Well, you mentioned Crown Heights. That's actually a pretty good conduit to my next question. So we understand how Berel and Chani came to Friendship Circle. Talk to me a little bit about the Crown Heights component. Having a Friendship Circle in Brooklyn, but with a base in Crown Heights, the vast majority of what you're doing is based in Crown Heights. What's the Crown Heights component like? What's the reception been like? What's the interaction with the Crown Heights community? Connie, we'll pose this question to you.
So I think that the community's come a really, really long way. When we first started and we would go around asking people to support a program, support the organization, we were literally met with people saying to us, what do we need it for? Why can't the kids just sit at home? Why do you need to do programs for them? There was a complete lack of understanding. Naively we pushed on thinking, I don't think we even thought, oh, we can change this. It was just like, this is what we're committed to, this is what we're doing, so we just have to figure out how to make it work. We don't get those comments anymore, thank God. It's like through...
The Crown Heights relationship with Friendship Circle today and 13 years ago is
vastly
virtually
different.
Unrecognizable.
Yeah. We've seen a tremendous change for the good.
In terms of how the community receives Friendship Circle, in terms of the volunteerism, in terms of the support that you're getting from the Crown Heights community?
Yeah, most of our support comes directly from the community. Just stories that families tell us. The fact that the volunteers think it's the coolest thing to be part of Friendship Circle. This shows that it's a respectable organization, something that people want to be part of, that it's meaningful to them.
Right.
I think people volunteered, but I don't know if there was this same massive passion and drive. A family that goes to a supermarket, I still remember in the beginning, one of our mums writing about how she was in a supermarket and her son was having a meltdown on the floor, and all she was met with was stares.
Wow.
And people moving away. I don't think that happens anymore on a
that's
daily.
That's got to be encouraging.
It's amazing.
It's got to give you like so much chizuk in what you're doing and why you're doing it and to continue. You mentioned volunteer. There's a cultural thing. There's a very strong cultural component about being a Friendship Circle volunteer. I don't know what it is. I think it's primarily...
Something cool.
Right. It's primarily, if I'm not mistaken, it's the vast majority of them are high school girls.
Yes. And boys.
Boys as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
This year we had about 150 girls and about 75 Bahrain.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's the cool thing to do. And I've seen that from an outsider's perspective. You know, I grew up in Crown Heights, and a lot of my family did have a lot to do with Friendship Circle. I think I have several sisters who were involved in multiple different capacities. But it seemed like the cool thing to do. Is there an active effort to engage the volunteers, make them feel like this is more than just, I'm sorry for putting it this way, but
Very
picking
much
up trash on the side of the highway? Like this is something meaningful, something that they need to instill within themselves. Talk to me about that recruitment process.
Thank God recruitment has never been difficult for us. I know in other Friendship Circles they have to go around to schools and really, there's a very, very heavy focus on facilitating the volunteer work. We hire people. We hire a boys coordinator, a girls coordinator. Their job is look out for our volunteers. So there's a very personal connection that the volunteers have with the organization.
Right.
And we really do so much to support them. We do workshops throughout the year. Swag is a really great way to get them to feel so proud about what they're doing, giving them sweaters, giving them beanies. They walk around screaming like they're walking advertisements for the organization.
But that has a twofold effect. Not just does it affect the volunteers, it also affects the families that they work with. Because
you're dealing with somebody who wants to be there, who wants to be involved. That's
and the families know that Friendship Circle is an organization that is fun to be a part of. To the effect that a story happened recently that a sibling of one of our Friendship Circle children told his mother that he feels bad for his classmates that don't have siblings with special needs because they're not part of Friendship Circle, because it's so awesome.
That is
so that's like a complete flip side. Like
sure.
It's not just is it taking away their stigma? It's like
it's making it be like one of the cool kids.
We don't want people to join,
right?
But if you're joining, we got you.
The families of the volunteers, I would imagine this is something that, a mom of a 15, 16-year-old boy or girl in Crown Heights would jump at the chance to have their children involved in something so wholesome, something so positive. Within the community, I get the sense, again, from an outsider's perspective, but having not an entirely outsider's perspective, let's say that, it extends beyond the volunteer and the child. There's more that goes into it. There's more moving pieces. Talk to me a little bit about what, the typical person who comes in contact or interacts with friendship circles says, okay, it's an organization, there's a volunteer, and the volunteer goes to the house of a child with special needs and helps him or her with his homework, or helps him or takes him or her to a walk, on a walk to the park, or something like that. It's much more than that.
Very much.
What do we not know? What might we not know?
I'll tell you, one thing that we did go into with the mindset is we want to create a community here for our families.
When we took it on, we said that if we're going to do this, it's going to be our shlichus in the sense that just like if I would go to any community to open a Chabad house or to work within a Majeskys that's there, we're a community organization. We're not just running programs.
Right.
Open a Chabad house, you have the shliach does everything. You do the bris for the child. You marry them. You bury them.
And more than just spiritually. I mean, if somebody, God forbid, their child is incarcerated or arrested or something, the people's first call is their local rabbi, their shliach.
So we felt we didn't know how we were going to do it, but we knew that we didn't just want to be an organization that runs programs.
Yeah.
We wanted to create a strong sense of community within the greater Crown Heights community for families that have children with special needs. How we were going to do it, we were going to figure it out. Right away, the first thing we did was we started, again, we take a step back. We say that Friendship Circle, particularly in the frum community, is the last frontier of shlichus, because there's shlichim for every demographic, right? One demographic that didn't have shlichim was frum children and adults with special needs. In many letters, a bunch of famous letters of the Rebbe to Dr. Wilkes about the getting children with special needs to do mitzvahs.
Pardon my ignorance. Who's Dr. Wilkes?
I'll have to put it in the show notes. No, I think it's incredible. He was a doctor in New York State psychiatric. I think it's not Kings County. One of those, anyway, and he created. I believe he created the Jewish Board on. Then it was called Jewish Board for the Retarded. And the famous letter where the Rebbe says not to call them retarded, but to call them special, was to him, to Dr. Wilkes, in a letter addressing one of these first conferences. Late 70s. So it's a series of letters starting in the late 70s into the early 80s.
So the sensitivity around the language is a 50-year-old.
It's from the Rebbe, 100%. The Rebbe was way ahead of the game. I'm not sure if this is the right place too, but I could do a whole other show just on the Rebbe's incredible outlook on special needs. Having said that, we felt that we're going to bring that ruchnistic component, meaning obviously we're going to create a community, but we're going to start with bringing ruchnis into the special needs world.
Giving the children and adults the ability to do tangible mitzvahs.
Right. So the first...
Yeah.
So the first thing that we did, we took over in the summer, and we got the programs up and running, and the first family event was the family hakafas. Oh, wow. Giving children and adults the ability to come and celebrate hakafas. Hakafas in any show, especially in Crown Heights, could be a little overwhelming, slightly. And so this is going to be our 13th or 14th year of doing it. We started, our first year was in the lobby of the Jewish Children's Museum. Then we moved to the Babich Yeshiva, a small hall, and now we take over the full hall of the Babich Yeshiva.
Wow.
The Crown Heights Shul, B'nai 11, and Yossi Langzam, incredible. They push off davening to give us Simchas by night to give Friendship Circle an opportunity to do hakafas. It's a quick, very conscious hakafas, but at that first hakafas, one of our Friendship Circle fathers, who usually would go on halacha, and his wife convinced him to come and take their special needs boy to hakafas. He went around that night from shul to shul, wherever he was going. He said, tonight, Danta covers with the Baal Shem Tov. And that's how we named, from there we started our weekly shul. And we named our shul Heichal Baal Shem Tov. And this family, the Chaim family, a year and a half later, donated a Torah in honor of their son Baruch Shneir to our shul, which we read from every Shabbos.
Wow.
But this is...
But it started from that one thing.
The effort was shlichus to a demographic that was unserved. Wow.
They were served, but they were served in a very
in a from capacity.
From capacity, they were completely overlooked. Obviously, there were certain schools and teaching the Aleph Beis and certain, but as far as giving them opportunity to shine within their own communities, to give them farbrengens, to give them things that any other boy and girl growing up in Crown Heights would be able to tap into, that didn't exist. And that's where it started. And now it's obviously way past that, but not past that. It's way beyond that.
So this was a pivot a little bit, but back to
the point was, what Chani was saying about how it started just as programs, but really you asked about how it's much more than just.
Well, I'm asking specifically, not necessarily about the programs. I'm asking, in addition to the programs, right. But I'm asking beyond the child and beyond the volunteer. There's an ecosystem here that I think people might not know about.
So I guess building on that concept of community, we really worked hard to create that, for the mothers to know each other, for the families to know each other, for them to be able to lean on each other for support, for us to be involved in their lives. We try to be involved every step of the way, and to be connected to each of the families. When a new family joins Friendship Circle, I go to the house and I sit down with the mother. And of course, I tell her about everything that Friendship Circle can offer the family, but tell me more about you. What's your family going through? How are your other kids adapting to this new child in the family or to this diagnosis? How are they managing? How are you managing? And I think from all of this, we've built this strong sense of community. And from that, I think this is where we say like what we expected to do at Friendship Circle versus what we're actually doing at Friendship Circle 13 years later, is when you're involved in someone's life, when you're involved with a family, your care and your love and your concern for them is so much bigger than just this one child. Of course, we're there for the child, but the siblings come into play, a marriage comes into play, and the connection now that we have with families. Should I just give you one example? Sure. At the beginning of the summer, Berel got a phone call from a Friendship Circle father who said, my 6th grade son wasn't accepted into summer camp. He's sitting at home, he's doing nothing for the summer. What can I say to him to convince him? And this is a mainstream child attending a mainstream yeshiva. It's not healthy for him to be at home for 2 months. And he called Berel to say, can you advise me? Who can I speak to? What can I do? How can I repair my relationship with this child? And if you think about it, it has nothing to do with Friendship Circle. But because they're part of our community, we did everything we can. And thank God he's in a camp this summer, because we care for the whole family unit.
So in these conversations that you guys have with the family, with the parents, with the siblings, how are people doing?
Loaded question.
Right.
I don't want it to look like special needs families are struggling.
Sure.
I'm always nervous about giving stories because it's not a reflection of the special needs community.
Well, essentially what I'm asking is there's a family which is obviously dedicating a large amount of their resources to a specific child or a specific a child or two or whatever it may be, doing the best that they can and really with incredible intentions and wonderful people, but limited resources and limited time in a day to be there for everybody who needs them to be there for them.
Yeah. People are spread really thin. We see also from volunteer engagement that I think it's a community-wide challenge that many people are struggling with now. Life is just so hard sometimes. People are spread thin. people don't have enough resources to tap into, or
forget about resources, simply time in the day, or enough people. It really does take a village to raise any child, to raise, to do right by any.
For sure. A friendship circle father just said to me, like, none of our children can ever be loved and ever be supported enough. Even for my own children, I know that's true.
For sure.
When you have a teacher that like really understands your child and really shows that they care about your child, it's
gold.
Game changer.
Right.
So we see it across the board in the community that people are.
So friendship circle is, it's safe to say it's beyond the child with special needs. There's a family element. There's the family unit. The calls that you get are not, let's just say they're not limited to, can we help me recruit a volunteer to play with my child with special needs once a week. It's far beyond that.
Way beyond that.
Right. As a community in Crown Heights, there's I'll take, Disneyland as an example. I think their slogan is the happiest place on earth, or I don't remember what other amusement park I might be forgetting now, but there's some sort of slogan of a place for everyone. I'm curious if Crown Heights, and I have nothing negative to say about Crown Heights. It's been home for me for years, and I will always consider it home. It's where I was raised, and I attribute so much of what I am today to the Crown Heights community. I'm wondering, though, if today there really is a place for everyone in Crown Heights.
Short answer?
No, I think there's a two-part answer. The short answer is...
The short answer, I would imagine, is there can be.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. Right. There can be.
There can be.
Is there currently?
The long answer is not really, I would imagine.
We have a really large number of children that go to school outside of Crown Heights on the daily. It hurts me that there's no place for them in our community. I'm not talking about special needs children, just children that need extra support. When it came to Lag BaOmer parade, it's a big to-do in Crown Heights. Everyone should belong.
Everybody's marching with their class.
There's people that are missing out on these community-wide celebrations.
And who are these children marching with?
Yeah.
They're missing out.
Yontif, when everyone's coming to shul, they may not know the other kids there because they're not in class with them.
Bar and bas mitzvahs.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The typical bar mitzvah, bas mitzvah has your 20, 30 classmates who are the life of the party, and some people might not have that.
Yeah, fair.
But I mean, the short answer, let's go back to the short answer. The short answer is, when I asked the question, is there a place for everyone in Crown Heights? I think we all agreed that there can be.
I'm really hopeful that time is definitely improving things, like the same way when we took over. People were asking us questions like, why do you even need Friendship Circle here? How many people is it even catering to? Like, the lack of understanding was so big.
What would you say it comes down to? If you said that, if you confidently stood up on a mic, on a podium and said, right now, the answer to the question, is there a place for everyone, is no. But there absolutely can be, provided that we do X, Y, and Z. What does that look like?
Listen more, hear from people what they're going through. I'm sure that people are part of shuls, part of neighborhoods within Crown Heights, active blocks, whatever it is.
I don't remember where I saw it, but somebody said once, I believe I read it somewhere, there's a difference between a neighborhood and a community. A neighborhood is a cluster of homes with close proximity to one another. And a community is a community.
Yeah.
And you don't have to live next to one another to be a community. You don't have to, you're not limited by the people who are closest with you geographically. A community supersedes where you are on the map.
Yeah.
So I think there's two things. I think that on one hand, there's always going to be a need beyond what the schools, any school, even schools out of Crown Heights, the specialized schools. There's a reason why every year or every couple of years, another school with a unique twist is created, because times are changing, children are changing, and the idea of Chenech al Pi Darkei is apidarka, and the world is changing, and therefore how the needs that has to be catered to are constantly evolving as well.
Let's talk about the catered for a second. I'm sorry to cut you off, because what that tells me is that when we say there can be, somebody needs to get up and say, you know what, status quo is not working. Let's change things. Let's do more.
There are people.
And I that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that whether it's parents being just fed up with their children just coasting, or not realizing their full potential, or somebody noticing that a neighbor is struggling, and maybe if we put these resources in place, it would put them in a better position to thrive.
Right.
I
There
believe
is
that's happening.
growth. There's for sure growth in this way.
Yes, that's
There's
what I was gonna
also more communities that are popping up within Crown Heights. People are taking care of each other. People are looking out for each other.
No, that's what I wanted to say. That on one hand, there's always going to be the need, the evolving need, and the status quo won't be good enough for whatever the specific individual thing is.
I believe we'll always be playing catch up.
Right. So therefore, what we need to do as a community, not as a community, as individuals, every single one of us has to be a contributing member. A community only works when everyone is contributing. Doesn't mean you have to be a millionaire to contribute, right? Famous Vart, if you know Aleph, teach Aleph. You don't need to be a millionaire. You don't need to be a professional in the special needs world. You don't need to be a professional in education. You just need to be there. Be
In
present.
tune.
Yeah. Notice what your neighbor is going through. Notice what your relative is going through. Just notice.
And your perspective is that obviously there's more that can be done, but that's happening.
Yeah, we've definitely seen a massive change. Like, even, I know we're part of a Berel's class shawl, and years ago, like, the responsibility, so to speak, of taking care of a certain family, we would feel like a tremendous, sense of responsibility. Now the shawls are stepping in more and saying, hey, when this mother has a baby, we're going to take care of meals from her. If that child's in hospital, we're going to help that family with rides, for sure. Yeah.
Well, it feels nice to hear that. It really does.
Hold on. There are incredible organizations in Crown Heights. A whole slew of them.
Oh, God forbid. No, this is not in the slightest.
No, I know. So I'm just saying is, and the organizations are also evolving. But one of the greatest ways that the organizations evolve is when individuals even call us and say, okay, I know there's a need and it needs to be filled. Can you help me facilitate it? Or what can I do so we're not able to do everything. But if someone calls us and says, I noticed something, what can I do to help in that unique area? We're stretched thin, but now we have a new ally that's able to help us do that.
So I'll challenge you guys for a second. And I'm sorry for putting you on the spot, but think, if you will, of an instance where you were forced to do that, or to think a little bit. You see somebody crossing a street, and you don't see just the person crossing the street. You see something beyond that, and it sprung you guys into action, if you don't mind.
So you're saying not on friendship circle necessarily, just on a personal, walking down the street and seeing a certain boy riding his bike down Kingston Avenue at 1 p.m.
Right.
Seeing him again a few days later. He's literally on my route to and from work.
He should be at school.
He should be in school. So calling the principal of the school that I think he goes to and saying, it's not my business, but I noticed him out of school a lot. Is he being taken care of? Is someone looking out for him?
Right.
And
in that case, was somebody not looking out for him?
Someone was. It's obviously a tricky situation, but the more, we've called schools about saying, does this boy have a coat? My son's friend is at my house. He doesn't have a coat. It's the middle of winter.
It's frigid.
I'm not going to ask him. I don't want to embarrass him, but calling the school, calling the teacher, saying, hey, does he have a coat?
I'm sure the ball was rolling. And
the schools are incredible. Today, especially, the schools are incredible partners. In this case, the case with the coats, within a few days, the principal got involved.
The whole family got new coats.
Right. So this is not a problem of being passive or being uninterested. This is just, it takes more people.
Yeah.
Everybody can do as much as they can. And while there's great people out there doing incredible things, there needs to be more great people doing more incredible things in order for
there's
everybody
a
to be
notion,
taken care of.
because there are so many incredible organizations, right? So there's this notion that we all, me included, I won't put anyone else in my boat, but we all fall into, okay, there's an issue, I'm sure they have this taken care of because there's a relation for that, right? Now, the thing is, sometimes when a friend or a neighbor is going through something, they may not even have the capacity to make that phone call. And
Or they might even know about that resource.
they might not even know about it. And just because you know about it, right?
We've seen that.
Yeah, we've
for
seen
sure.
that.
What would I call that organization for? How can they help me? Of course you should be in touch with them. Of course you should reach out. Let's put you in touch with each other.
Is that, I mean, let's
So let's just take back, just tie it into friendship circle. So a big part of how what we do evolved. At this point, we have someone on staff full time that her job is literally just that, to
Family
for
support.
family support, family calls, or we know a family is going through something. To reach out, besides checking in on them, who can we hook you up with? Who can we put you in touch with? What organization? What need can we take care of you today? Your kids need extra toys because you're spending too much time in the hospital. No problem. You need whatever it might be. If it's not under our purview to take care of it, we know who to go to. And that sense of community that our families have, not just with us, but with the families at large, meaning they don't have to call us and tell us what's going wrong. Someone will let us know. Another family that has a child in their kid's class will call us and say, by the way, my neighbor has,
Right.
or my son has a kid on his bus. They both go to the same school at Crown and I notice that the kid is late every day, whatever. Maybe check up on the family.
He comes late to school. Is everything okay?
Right. So we'll have either Chani or the other girls in the office make a call. We're trying to find out what's going on and what we can do to ease that new adjustment in their life.
Do you believe that as a community we're doing enough?
We're the Bavitchers. It's never enough.
What'd you say?
So we're the Bavitchers. It's never enough.
Right. I mean, if you had,
No offense, that was a bad question. No,
right. But if there was, let me phrase it differently. If you had the opportunity to challenge the community to step up to the plate in a certain regard, something that, if you told me that I could be kinder to my neighbor or that I could be a little bit more cognitive, I could be a little bit more cognizant of when somebody's struggling, I would take that. It's obviously true. I do the best that I can, and I'm sure everybody could say that. But if you could just level with the Crown Heights community and say, here's where we can really, really make a difference, what would that look like?
Be active.
What do you mean by that?
Life is so chaotic and busy, and men and women, everyone's working and everyone's all consumed by taking care of their family and taking care of their jobs, but the human element of taking care of each other, we can step up on. We can become active. We can look out for people. We can say, oh, he used to come to shul every week and now he hasn't been coming.
Essentially, it's, instead of looking like that, it's just broadening your scope a little bit, to increase your peripheral a little bit, see your neighbors, see your friends' kids, your kids' friends, stuff like that.
I think a lot of people are nervous about overstepping, or it's not my business. But what we find, 9 times out of 10, when you show that you care and you show up for somebody else, your good intention is seen and so appreciated.
We get calls from, say, classmates of, not me, I don't get a call. Our classmates just had a child with special needs. What can we as a class, what can we do? How do we talk to them?
We want to be there for them. We don't know how.
What do we say? I want to say, do we say Mazel Tov? Do we say your child looks adorable? Everyone's unsure of themselves, and therefore 9 times out of 10, they'll just avoid the person for a year and a half. See them in Kingston Avenue, see her in Kingston Avenue, look the other way. I'll ask about the other kids because I'm not going to avoid you completely, but and it puts everyone in an uncomfortable situation.
And this person just needed to hear something.
Something.
Literally mazel tov. How are you feeling?
Yeah. If you're uncomfortable asking about the child, ask how the mother is feeling, how the father's feeling.
There's a beautiful story about the Rebbitzin, how she had a connection with a woman who, for many years, and then this woman eventually gave birth to a baby with Down syndrome. And the woman says that the Rebbitzin hardly ever asked me about my child. She always asked me, how are you? She wanted to know. She knows that all the doctors and all the therapists are taking care of my child. She knew that no one else was taking care of me.
Wow. So she just asked how she was doing.
Yeah, how are you?
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most common things that we get from our families is their own families sometimes. And I'm not blaming anybody because it is uncomfortable and it is awkward and it is unsure. I think what Chani was saying before was you're better off saying something and saying maybe sometimes the wrong thing than saying nothing.
Right.
Because we're human beings. We all want to be
Noticed.
noticed
Seen.
and validated and you know and cared for.
Wow.
Notice. Expand your peripherals.
Expand your peripherals. Let's go back to Friendship Circle for a few minutes, if you don't mind. First of all, congratulations on the incredible building purchase. That's very exciting news.
It's very exciting.
It probably, I would imagine, would kick off an incredibly bright and even more bright and vibrant future for Friendship Circle.
Yes.
What does the future look like in the short term and possibly even a little bit beyond?
It looks amazing. It's very bright, the future. We dream all day of what can be, what will be. And our community needs a centre. And this is going to be a place of unconditional love for everyone that walks through the door, for our families, for our volunteers. And trust me, our volunteers need it these days as well.
For sure.
It's going to be literally a community centre. Our short-term plan is we're going to have multiple sensory rooms, our shul, our offices, a kitchen. We can do cooking, baking, a social hall, which will be used for multiple programs. And then we're going to be also be having a volunteer lounge. And long term, God willing, we hope to put up a 7-floor building, swimming pools, gym, pool, swimming pool, a gym,
Multiple
everything.
swimming pools.
Yeah.
Sure.
The name we're using now and for the future is a center for family and friends. It's not a center for children with special needs. It's a community center.
Right.
Awesome.
And different than other community
Was it
centers.
important for you guys to make that distinction?
Yeah.
It was very natural because it's so obvious when you say Friendship Circle that this is going to be for the special needs child. This is our focus and this is what we're here for. But like you said,
It's so much more.
Mother support groups, father support groups. This year we ran 4 different sibling support groups.
Different ages.
Yeah, boys, girls. Having a centre like this is just going to enable us to grow in amazing, amazing ways and connect more, be there more for everyone.
Yeah, but besides for the programs that we have already running and the programs we have planned just in the immediate future and once the center is built, besides the children and families that have children with special needs, the community at larger, as opposed to most community centers that are built for the community, and they also have, to make it ADA compliant. So it's also, this is it's a community center centered around the children with special needs, and everyone else is coming to celebrate them, as opposed to, and it'll be amazing. It can be, I mean, chalemis we have, but like,
I'm seeing you guys are so excited about
30,000
this.
square feet is just the beginning. Mitzvah. You have the money.
$30,000. Well, that's actually a good segue. Talk to me about, the money is not flying at you. It's not flying at anybody. Anybody who thinks that they just start doing something and the money will flow to them is delusional. You have to actually
You need that delusion to start.
you probably have to have the right mix of delusion, sure. But the fundraising effort, I'm sure it takes up a lot of your time, a lot of your energy, a lot of your brain space. I'm curious how this recent pivot in projections and what the future will hold has perhaps changed the. It's no secret. People are struggling. It's hard right now. It's a hard time now, and especially for people to have extra money. But is there passion? Is there excitement in the fundraising world surrounding the Friendship Circle, the Friends and Family Center?
I believe that most people by now understand that having Friendship Circle in our community is a real blessing to our community, right? Because everyone's gaining from it and everyone's learning from it. You have your sisters.
I've learned so much just from this conversation.
It's an organization that can involve so many different types of people.
Think about it. Every year, between the Bachram and the girls that volunteer and the Friendship Circle families, we have a direct connection with probably between 600 and 1,000 families every year in Crown Heights. Now, compound that every year. Okay?
Right.
So our reach, literally, is everywhere, and the long-term effect of that is tremendous.
I meant to bring that up earlier. I think we got sidetracked. That's an interesting point about, if there's a family with a 3-year-old child who gets visited every week by a volunteer from Friendship Circle, and that goes on for 8 years, 9 years, 10 years. You're talking about 7, 8, 9, 10 different volunteers who not only have a connection with this child and are a part of his life and the family's life, probably a part of each other's lives, probably a part of your lives. And the compound effect is incredible. It's 600 to 1,000 families every year. And that number is growing, and the number of volunteers is growing. I wouldn't be shocked if it's in the tens of thousands. As far as, impact and impressions from think about it, 10 years, 13 years as far as you guys are concerned, but 13 years of relationships with 13 individual people, or possibly with 10 individual people, 8 individual people that are all giving him a call on his birthday or sending him a shalach mana.
One of our Friendship Circle boys became bar mitzvah, and the mother called us and she said, could you send me contact information for all the Bachram that visited him from literally when he was 3 years old till today? That's 10 years of volunteers, so about 20 guys. Send me all their contact information, because we wouldn't be where we are right now without all of them. And she really felt that deep connection to each pair. And she wanted to invite them, come join me for my simcha now.
It was their simcha. It was everybody's simcha.
100%. I think one of the beautiful things about this organization is that you see a lot of organizations where there's the directors and even the staff, and then there's the community that they're working with. One incredible thing that we have is that every year we have over 200 volunteers that are going out to the community and spreading the love and the acceptance and the mission of Friendship Circle throughout the community. And they're literally like foot soldiers going around and spreading the joy of Friendship Circle. And then they come home from their visit and they bring their joy back to their own home, and their whole family now is affected. So if we were just running this organization on our own, we wouldn't be able to have this effect and this impact on the entire community. But because we have such a high number of volunteers that are engaged, the effect and the impact is tremendous.
I'll put you guys on the spot, if you'll bear with me for a minute. And we can wrap up with this, but I'll ask you guys, possibly one more than the other. I haven't really figured that out yet, but you're forward thinkers and you're dreamers, and you see a little bit beyond. When you see a building, you're thinking short term, and you're thinking 7 floors with possibly multiple swimming pools. What would you like to see? We've talked a lot about what goes on in the Friendship Circle on a daily basis. A lot that some of our viewers and listeners might not know. Some that I'm learning for the first time, and I hope the Crown Heights community and far beyond are, they have their eyes opened a little bit more after hearing all of this. But what's something that you guys are not doing today that you would like to tackle or you would like to do more of?
Our dream is to open a special needs Lubavitch camp for children and adults with special needs, to give them the opportunity.
A summer camp.
A summer camp.
Wow.
A winter camp. And to give our teenagers an opportunity to volunteer at these camps. This would be life-changing. This is like next level engagement.
Have you ever said this publicly before?
Probably not. Mic drop moment.
Well, there you have it, fellas. What would that look like?
Shabbos with Nigunim, with Chabad Nigunim. This is their upbringing. This is what they're seeing at home. This is Chaf Av happens and it's being commemorated,
Yeah, volunteering 1 hour a week throughout the year is incredible. But living with somebody, we all went to camp. We all know what it does for the kids, for the counselors, and so on. So obviously, for the children, being in an environment that they know best through the summer is incredible. Now take that. Now what does it do for the Bachram, for the girls? Imagine. I know we visit Camp Hask every year. We visit a lot of the smaller camps where the children in Friendship Circle are.
You visit them every summer?
Yeah, we try.
Yeah.
And
we need to check on them.
Yeah. One of the biggest things that we walk out with every year is look what the staff are gaining. It's incredible. And a lot of the camps, Camp Hask is a great camp, but the staff is mixed, and therefore
they're not getting that authentic.
So therefore, no. So therefore, a lot of the Bachram girls,
teenagers
our teenagers aren't going to go there as staff.
Yeah.
Right. But if we do it and we do it our way, so to speak, the opportunities for the kids and for the volunteers, for the counselors, and would be beyond.
This is only one idea.
Right.
We have a lot more.
What would you need to make this happen? Besides for a ton of money.
That's number one.
Right.
That's it.
I just want to say one thing very, very important. I think we would be remiss, if we didn't mention it and discuss it. We're the Rebbe's Mesid, serving the Rebbe's children in the Rebbe's Shechina, Kansel Hashem as a bracha. And we've seen brachas beyond. We have. We went through terrible financial times, and we went through other challenging times, and we know, no question about it, that the Rebbe is not just dragging us out, it's pushing us forward. So what do we need? Whatever we need, we know we have. We have the Rebbe's brachas. Sometimes the Rebbe's brachas are in your pocket. Right. But for real, these are like when we write our duch, we have Baruch Shem at this point. Our staff we write a duch every Friday, every Thursday, and we try to get it over to the oil before Shabbos. First of all, even for us internally, it's such an incredible thing just to see what
you quantify.
Yeah, what we're doing. It's like every week delivering 4 or 5 pages of programs and projects and initiatives, relationships is incredible. So obviously there's that idea, but I don't know where I was going with that. Sorry.
Saying, what do we need to make this possible?
Oh, now Stam, I think. Oh, when I write to the Rebbe every single week, I write where we have the schus to run the friendship circle of the Rebbe's Shechina's Hamalach, and every single time I write it, I get that same chills run down my back. There's obviously we couldn't have known this earlier. But at this point, there's no place I'd rather be. Nothing else we'd rather be doing. We've seen the brachas personally for the Mesid, and it's just the beginning. And Mirza Hashem with everyone's help, with the brachas that is in everyone else's pockets. No, I mean the dreams we have.
I have no doubt that at some point all of these things will happen. I have no doubt about it.
I was telling someone about our dream for step 2 of our property, right? So now we're going to be using it for one thing, but this is what stage 2 is going to look like. Right. And she said to me, like, how are you going to do it? I said, you know what? According to nature, I don't know. Right. But according to nature, we also wouldn't be where we're holding now. Like all that flack and all that discouragement that we got in the beginning, how are we here today?
Almost in spite of it.
Yeah.
Right.
So like the same way that we managed to get here, we're also going to manage to get there.
And you firmly believe that?
Yeah.
Not manage.
Yeah, we believe that.
Wow.
Because we need it. Crown
There's no
Heights
other
needs
option.
it. It's true. There is no other option. Like, we have to support our families. We have to give children with special needs a place in our community. The way we do it through, volunteer engagement, it's such a blessing to everyone.
Well, I know that I very much enjoyed our conversation. I hope our viewers and listeners did as well. And thank you for joining us. Thank you for opening up, however uncomfortable or comfortable that was. I appreciate it, and I hope that our listeners and viewers can take some inspiration from this and be a positive impact in their community. Thank you.